This is the story of a secret that the Allies desperately tried to keep from their Soviet partners. A clandestine mission launched immediately after the war's conclusion, demonstrating that the so-called peace of 1945 was merely a pause before a new global conflict. In the final chaotic weeks of the war, the Allies, primarily the British and Americans, seized vast caches of German technical blueprints, the plans for next-generation weapons, including the revolutionary Walther turbine and the designs for the truly advanced Type XXI and Type XXVI U-boats. These documents, if obtained by the emerging Soviet bloc, could have tipped the balance of naval power for decades. This urgency gave rise to Operation Mercury, a silent, undeclared mission to secure, transport, and ultimately bury this technological treasure. But during a critical stage of the operation, the main, heavily reinforced container, the Allied underwater vault, vanished off the coast of Scotland. This isn't a story of sunken U-boat. It's the story of sunken secret that the Allied powers erased from history. Knowing its recovery could rewrite the Cold War. The necessity for Operation Mercury was born from the race against the Soviets to acquire German scientific talent and technology, known as Operation Paperclip and Operation Osowieckim. While Paperclip focused on scientists, Mercury was dedicated entirely to naval research. The blueprints for the Walther turbine, in particular, promised a U-boat capable of unprecedented underwater speed and endurance, making all existing anti-submarine warfare, ASW, obsolete. The Allies, knowing they could not destroy all the documents without risking Soviet suspicion, decided to consolidate the most sensitive files, the core U-boat designs, into a single, highly resilient pressure vault. This vault was initially stored at a remote, deactivated Royal Air Force RAF seaplane base on the Scottish coast, a site chosen for its isolation and deep-water access. The files were scheduled for transfer to a deep storage facility in Canada, but the transfer never happened. The entire RAF base was suddenly closed, officially abandoned, and its records were systematically destroyed. The official explanation was redundancy. The reality was that the underwater vault and its critical cargo vanished, forcing the British Admiralty to bury the entire operational history. The last documented, though heavily redacted, reference to the vault's existence pointed to the abandoned RAF base near the island of Skye. This former seaplane base included several unique, deep-water maintenance docks built into the cliff face, designed to handle large flying boats. Our first step was to locate the remnants of this base, which decades of coastal erosion and weather had reduced to a ghost. We deployed side-scan sonar in the deep channel leading to the base's old docks. The readings quickly confirmed our hypothesis. Resting on the seabed, just outside the main, collapsed dock entrance, were large, scattered pieces of concrete and steel, undeniably the ruins of the RAF structure. But amidst the wreckage, one anomaly stood out, a massive, dense metallic signature that was too uniform, too cylindrical, to be natural debris or typical maritime wreckage. This was the target, the Allied underwater vault. If you're ready to dive with us to expose the lost technology that could have armed the Soviets and find out why the British Admiralty erased the entire history of this sunken secret, hit that subscribe button right now. Give this video a like and stick with us until the very end, because the truth about the missing U-boat designs is more shocking than you can imagine. The vault lay at a depth of nearly 300 meters, resting in a deep sediment bed, far below the safe limits for conventional diving. Our first visual confirmation via ROV was breathtaking. It was a colossal, heavy-gauge steel cylinder built to withstand immense pressure, secured with thick chains. The design was clearly military-grade, far exceeding the requirements for simple document storage. The vault was designed not just to survive sinking, but to survive destruction. It was locked with a complex, four-tumbler rotary mechanism, completely resistant to brute force. But the vault itself was not pristine. The surrounding debris suggested it hadn't simply rolled off a dock. The wreckage of the old RAF dock was massive, suggesting that the entire structure, or at least the crane used to move the vault, had collapsed in a sudden, violent manner. This suggested that the loss of the vault was not an accident of poor seamanship, but the result of a deliberate, catastrophic failure or, more ominously, a clandestine attack carried out to prevent the files from leaving the UK. The most compelling clue as to the vault's cargo and its catastrophic loss came from a single, broken artifact resting directly beside it. The wreckage included the remains of a standard wartime cargo skid, and lying beneath it, our ROV located a massive, cylindrical blueprint tube made of brass, designed to protect rolled documents. The tube's end cap had been sheared off, and the paper contents, a thick, dark scroll of technical drawings, had partially spilled out, preserved by the anoxic conditions of the silt. Our ROV carefully secured a small, fragmented corner of the exposed paper. Lab analysis later confirmed the paper's origin: high-quality German military stock. The drawing itself was a cross-section of a high-pressure engine component. Most tellingly, a handwritten notation in English on the corner read, Walther T. Pre-prod. This was the definitive proof. The vault contained the blueprints for the advanced Walther turbine U-boat propulsion system, a secret so critical it warranted the destruction of an entire RAF base and the erasure of an entire military operation. But the vault remained sealed, holding the full extent of the German technological leap, protected by a lock designed to defy time itself. The discovery of the enormous, sealed Allied underwater vault and the confirmation that it contained the blueprints for the revolutionary Walther turbine technology raised immediate questions about the catastrophic failure at the former RAF seaplane base. The sheer force required to collapse the entire dock structure suggested sabotage, not an accident. Our investigation turned to the internal security protocols of Operation Mercury. We managed to locate highly fragmented post-war interrogations of low-level German naval personnel who had been repurposed by the Allies. One engineer, Carl Schmidt, mentioned a red alert issued during the transfer of the Walther files, involving a covert Soviet attempt to infiltrate the facility and steal the plans. A mission codenamed Operation Mir, Cold Sea. Schmidt's testimony suggested that a highly skilled Soviet naval commando unit had successfully infiltrated the RAF base, intending to seize the vault before it could be shipped to Canada. The attack must have been brutal and silent, aimed at neutralizing the guards and seizing the documents. The collapse of the dock was likely the result of the Allied security forces or the Soviet commandos themselves, triggering a massive demolition charge to prevent the vault from leaving the area during the raid. This meant the vault's sinking was a deliberate act of tactical failure, chosen over the risk of Soviet capture. This perfectly explains the British Admiralty's total historical erasure. Admitting to a successful Soviet commando raid on a high-security British base immediately after the war would have been a massive geopolitical embarrassment and could have triggered an international crisis. The Cold War had truly begun, not with missiles, but with a silent, lethal underwater raid off the coast of Scotland. Our search shifted from the vault itself to the surrounding debris field, looking for proof of the Soviet commando infiltration. The wreckage was thick, composed primarily of twisted British steel and concrete. However, utilizing powerful magnetometers, we located small, distinctive metallic signatures that were inconsistent with standard RAF or British naval equipment. We recovered two items. First, a highly specialized, corrosion-resistant Soviet-made diving knife of a type only issued to elite naval Spetsnaz units. And second, a deeply embedded, copper-case-time fuse used for precision demolition. The fuse was not British. Its specific threading and chemical composition were unequivocally Soviet military issue from the 1940s. These two artifacts provided the physical, undeniable proof that Operation Mir was successful in reaching the target and engaging in combat with the British Guards. The collapse of the dock was the final act of the skirmish, ensuring that neither side won the prize. The immense vault, however, remained sealed. Its complex rotary lock, designed to withstand deep-sea pressure, had defeated the corrosion. We needed the combination. Our team returned to the fragmented archive materials, cross-referencing all personnel known to have been involved in the vault's final transfer. We focused on the RAF officer in charge of security, Wing Commander Arthur Davies, who officially retired immediately after the incident under highly unusual circumstances. Davies's personal records, buried in a decommissioned pension file, yielded a final, bizarre clue: a photo of Davies's hand holding a small, metallic keychain, engraved with four distinct, seemingly random numbers: 19, 42, 05, 12. These numbers appear to be a random sequence of dates or times, but their prominence suggested they were highly personal, or a mnemonic device for the combination lock. This was a long shot, but our only chance to access the vault without risking a highly volatile, destructive penetration. Using the ROV's hydraulic manipulator, we prepared to input the four-digit sequence into the rotary lock mechanism. The process was tense. The deep-sea silt made visibility poor, and the lock had been exposed to the elements for decades. The sequence was keyed in 19-42-05-12. With a slow, agonizing clunk, the final tumbler engaged. The lock released. The heavy-gauge steel door was now free to be opened, revealing the chamber that had held the secrets of two global wars for 80 years. We were about to look directly at the technological core of the Third Reich's most advanced naval plans that the Soviet Union risked a secret war to steal and which the Allied powers destroyed a base to hide. The final act of Operation Mercury was about to be completed, but the question remained: were the blueprints the only thing Davies's vault was meant to hide? The agonizing wait ended with the metallic clunk of the lock mechanism. The Allied underwater vault, a technological time capsule from the immediate post-war period, was finally open after 80 years. Our ROV slowly pulled back the heavy, pressure-sealed door, revealing the interior. The chamber was surprisingly well-preserved, filled with thick, stagnant water. Inside, securely bolted to the base, were multiple specialized, lead-lined tubes designed to protect documents not just from water, but from radiation or extreme temperatures. This level of protection hinted that the contents might be even more volatile than just technical drawings. We carefully retrieved the lead-lined tubes. Back on the surface and sealed within a containment lab, the contents were revealed. As expected, the primary material was indeed the Walther turbine blueprints. Hundreds of schematics detailing the closed-cycle propulsion system that utilized hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. The technical detail was astonishing, confirming the revolutionary nature of the technology that could have changed the war. But among the technical drawings, we found a separate set of documents, sealed in a red folder marked highly sensitive e-stuff. These were not blueprints. They were operational manifests and personnel lists. The manifests confirmed that the vault contained not only the turbine plans, but also the detailed designs for the highly toxic and volatile E-Stoff propellant used in experimental German weapons, the same propellant we encountered in the Base 211 investigation. The Allies weren't just securing engine plans. They were securing the formulas for a highly unstable chemical weapons-grade substance. The personnel lists under the E-Stoff section were the key. They detailed the names of the German scientists involved in the propellant's development, many of whom were listed as missing or deceased at the war's end. However, a handwritten note on the final page, initialed AD, Wing Commander Arthur Davies, the security officer, confirmed that the scientists listed were not dead. They were extracted under Operation Mercury and secretly relocated. The note read, "The living files are secured, relocated to South America. Location only known to Orion Group." This revealed the true, terrifying scope of Operation Mercury. It was not just a document retrieval mission. It was a human extraction program involving scientists with knowledge of dangerous chemical technology. Davies and the Allied Command had successfully relocated these high-value, high-risk personnel, ensuring they wouldn't fall into Soviet hands and were kept silent. The living files hidden away in South America. This finding provided a chilling new explanation for the collapse of the RAF dock. The Soviet Spetsnaz from Operation Kaltmir were likely not just trying to steal the documents. They were trying to intercept the scientists who were scheduled to depart the remote base via seaplane alongside the vault. The dock's collapse and the vault's sinking were the final, desperate measures taken by Davies and the British Guards to cover the escape of the scientists. The British sacrificed the priceless blueprints and the RAF base to successfully smuggle the living files out of Europe. The vault was never meant to be retrieved. It was meant to be the ultimate decoy, a massive piece of bait to distract the Soviets while the true secret, the relocated scientists, fled. But the vault had one final, unexpected item, proving that Wing Commander Davies was playing his own separate game. Hidden in a false bottom of the vault, beneath the thick lead lining, was a small, personal document, a transfer certificate for a large sum of gold deposited into a Swiss account in 1946. The deposit was made under a shell company known as Orion Group, the same name Davies used in his handwritten note regarding the relocated scientists. The recipient of the funds was listed only as the architect. This was a staggering twist. Davies, the man who sank the valuable files and facilitated the escape of the Easthoff scientists, was simultaneously securing a massive personal fortune. The Orion Group was not just a security designation. It was a private enterprise built on the back of stolen German intellectual property and the secrets of the Cold War. Davies had leveraged the chaos of Operation Mercury for immense personal gain, betraying his Soviet allies and his own command in one masterstroke. The discovery of Wing Commander Arthur Davies' secret transfer certificate, linking him to the Orion Group, shell company, and a massive Swiss gold deposit, exposed a stunning layer of betrayal beneath Operation Mercury. The Sunken Vault was not just a historical archive. It was a crime scene, revealing how the chaos of the Cold War's beginning was ruthlessly exploited for private gain. Davies, the officer tasked with security, had effectively used the Soviet raid, Operation Kaltmir, as cover to eliminate the evidence of his own high-stakes profiteering, sinking the vault while secretly relocating the valuable Easthoff scientists and their knowledge for his own private entity. We needed to confirm the final fate of the living files, the Easthoff scientists, and the ultimate destiny of the Orion Group. Our search led us from cold Scottish waters to fragmented intelligence files concerning post-war South America. By cross-referencing the names on Davies' manifest with later U.S. intelligence reports detailing German scientist migrations, we located the final staging area, a remote, abandoned tin mine in the northern Argentine Andes, purchased secretly in 1946 by an anonymous offshore corporation, the Orion Group. This confirmed that Davies successfully delivered the living files and their dangerous chemical knowledge to a hidden sanctuary far beyond the reach of both Allied and Soviet investigations. The mine was immediately classified by U.S. intelligence as a potential site for advanced chemical experimentation. This final reveal explains the most enduring political secrecy surrounding the Allied underwater vault. The US and UK governments couldn't admit the loss of the Walther blueprints to Soviet commandos, but they absolutely could not reveal that one of their own top officers had successfully hijacked a group of dangerous German Easthoff experts and their secrets for a personal, transnational operation. Admitting this would expose the complete failure of Allied counterintelligence and reveal the existence of a high-value black market for German scientific secrets. The historical erasure of the RAF base and Operation Mercury was the only way to protect the integrity of the new NATO alliance and prevent a full-scale diplomatic war with the Soviet Union over the stolen scientists. The Allied underwater vault was ultimately a tool of deception, used to mask a deeper, more profound betrayal. The U-boat files, the supposed reason for the vault's existence, were merely the historical decoy. The true secret was the successful creation of a private, black market science corporation, Orion Group, established by Wing Commander Davies, financed by stolen gold, and powered by the captured German chemical expertise. The cold, dark water off Scotland successfully held the technological secrets and the evidence of the crime, allowing Davies to become one of the Cold War's first great, unpunished profiteers. His ability to turn a catastrophic military failure into a multi-million-dollar private enterprise is a chilling testament to the moral vacuum that followed the collapse of the Third Reich. We have successfully recovered the Walther turbine blueprints and the Easthoff manifest from the deep, officially closing the book on Operation Mercury and the mystery of the submerged RAF base. The silence of the deep yielded not just documents, but a complete narrative of a Cold War conspiracy. The underwater vault confirmed the lengths the Allies went to secure Nazi technology, but the discovery of the Orion Group transfer revealed that the greatest threat came from within their own ranks, a threat fueled by greed and the world's most dangerous scientific secrets. The deepest secrets of World War II were not sunk by the enemy, but deliberately buried by allies and profiteers. What do you think? Accident or a mission deliberately erased and left on the ocean floor?